Hey guys, welcome to the In-Flight Running Show. I'm your host, Coach Michael Merlino. I'm a Houston, Texas-based fitness trainer and running coach. I've been coaching runners, training people here in Houston for upwards of 23 years. I coach people from the 5K distance to the marathon distance. And the people I coach range from middle schoolers at St. John's here in Houston, all the way up to people, I've got some runners actually in their early 70s in my group. And we coach people in groups, one-on-one and online at inflightrunning.com. So check it out. We've got all of our social media stuff posted up there for you. And this is kind of a new journey for me. This is episode number 2. I did a live internet radio show a few years ago. That was probably 2015. And I wanted to kind of, Mike wants to get back on the mic. Man, I want to get back on the mic. So started this show. I'm hoping that, and I know that a lot of the stuff we're going to share with you is just going to make you a more solid runner, a less injured runner, okay? So we'll be covering the sport of running from different angles, interviewing experts, and we're going to be interviewing a lot of just everyday people, just because their stories are just as cool as the guy that's, the professionals just run a marathon at the elite level, okay? So get ready to have some fun, and let's get it rocking tonight. You can follow and subscribe to the show. I've got everything up there on the screen for you. And then if you've got a question during the show, just post it in the feed. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, put it in the feed. And then if we got time later, we'll cover it. If not, I'll go back to social media and answer those questions for you. You can also email us at inflightrunning@gmail.com. Okay. All right. So let me get on to the intros tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about nutrition, which is a big topic for a lot of runners. It's probably, in my opinion, as a running coach, the one area where people kind of, I want to say fail, but like if they could shore that up, man, they could be so much of a better runner. They would perform a heck of a lot better. So tonight's guest is Kristin Kabay. She's off to the side there. Kristin, welcome.
Hello.
And I met this young gal. I don't know. It's probably, I don't know. I think you were studying at U of H.
I was thinking about that.
You're a U of H student, right?
Yeah, I was at University of Houston.
Yeah. And were you studying nutrition at the time? Had you decided to make that your major?
Yeah.
So Kristin shows up at my beginner 5K group. It was called No Boundaries at the time. We did it at the Fleet Feet store in Rice Village here in Houston. And day one, I was like, I had to do the pull aside. Had to do the coach pull aside. I'm like, come here a second. I'm like, have you run before? No, not really, but I kind of like to run. I'm like, well, I think you're going to be a pretty good runner. So she kind of proved me right. And then she trained. I think she did the Honolulu Marathon as her first marathon.
You got me ready for Honolulu.
I talked you into that one, right?
Yeah.
Best
marathon ever.
I love that. Yeah, I got to get back to that one. So she's a dietitian and here in Houston, Texas. She practices here in Houston and kind of does everything. But like, I'm going to turn it over to you, Kristin, and kind of, like give us an idea because some people don't know, like, why would I need a dietitian? So, maybe what a dietitian does, and then maybe some of the, give us an idea of some of the type of people you work with on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. So I am a registered and licensed dietitian here in Houston, Texas. I practice virtually, so it gives me the ability to see clients kind of everywhere, which is really cool right now. And really in my private practice, I focus on a couple of type of clients. Generally, it is definitely the healthy eating, trying to get into a healthy weight category. With every crazy thing that's going on right now, carrying extra weight, making sure that, you're really eating well. That's so important. So definitely helping people improve their nutrition there. I also am a sports dietitian. So outside of kind of my normal, registered dietitian credential, I have a specialty board certified designation as a sports dietitian. And then I myself have been plant-based for 25 years. And so I also really focus on my people that are transitioning either to, wanting to incorporate more of those foods. They might not be ready to go full in, and that's completely fine. Or, just somebody that's kind of dabbling in it. So those are kind of my three specialties, if you will. But yeah.
Okay. And so I'm curious, like, because I've sent a few folks to you, I could name them, name a few that have been in your office. No, but they've been in your office because they just needed help. And like, I need help on my nutrition. I'm like, that's the lady you got to see. And so tell me, like, because I'd like to know, like, what is the process? Well, what's the biggest reason that people would seek you out as a runner? Like, what's the one thing they seem to have the most help with?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question. And there's not really one thing. Most of the time it's either they're underfueling or overfueling. So trying to get within a better body composition range. But generally, those are the two biggest. The other that I see a lot of is GI issues. So, it could be running related. It might be something that's diet, in interfering with kind of that running, but that's definitely a big one that's come up a lot more recently.
Yeah, I've noticed that my group on Saturday runs, I've been known to, shuttle people to Starbucks for those emergency.
It happens.
Those emergency. I can tell by the look on their face. I'm like, get in the truck. We're going to Starbucks, and I motor off. And
that's right. You're a great coach.
Because because we've all been there. I don't want to get into. That's probably a whole other show that we probably don't want to do.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So here's the deal. As you know, because we've had discussions about this, and I've had discussions with a lot of wellness professionals here in Houston and around the country, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but COVID-19 obviously has affected everything in our lives. And with this pandemic, what I've sensed so far, and I'll probably sense more, is people come out and feel more comfortable running, because we've kind of opened things up now with a 3-page document that I had to put together on my procedures for COVID-19. But I sense that a lot of people are struggling. They have the extra time, yet that extra time is going out the window because they got to homeschool kids and worry about making sure that mom's okay or grandmother's okay. And then I do see, I sense there's a lot of new runners that like, well, heck, what else do I do? If I can do anything right now, I can ride a bike and I can run outside. Yeah. So I think that's happening, where I think there's some budding runners kind of coming up. Yeah. And then the people in the middle, and there are some that are, but those are the people I would expect, the people in my group that will never let go of the miles. They're going to be out there running, whether it's a storm, a coronavirus, or whatever. They're going to do it, right? Yeah, they're totally hardcore. Yeah. So then we have this other issue, like you and I talked about, where, we're as runners, and you can address this too, but you're used to these carrots, and it's called a race because we run the race and it's a big goal and we get this nice shiny medal. And now they're yanking that from us because these races are canceling now, right? So, like I know you were qualified for Boston again this year in April, and then they've shifted September. And I still think that's probably pretty doubtful that they're going to do New York or they're going to do Boston, even if they push it.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't know. I definitely understand about needing a little bit of a carrot to kind of push you. But I would encourage, if you're struggling with, finding the motivation or what's the reason you're going to run, is think about how good you feel after you run. I know for me that's really what I'm focusing more on now. And I've never finished a run and thought, man, I'm really sorry I did that. It's always like, I'm so glad I made myself go. Even if you do 2 miles, it's still, you feel so much better. So, maybe have that discussion with Coach Michael, or, think about redefining what that run is about, and that's okay.
Yeah. And like, listen, if you knock yourself off the horse, there's nothing wrong with walking. I mean, you can walk, jog your way back to running.
Absolutely.
If you're a new runner, you probably want to do that anyway too, if you're starting. So, yeah.
And I will say, even for me, if there's a day where I'm just really tired, I do a lot, even though I'm at home, I'm really, really busy right now. And I sometimes might even just kind of go for a walk instead, because it's what I need mentally, physically. I'm tired. So I think that's okay. Listen to what your body's telling you. We tend to not do that.
So with that being said, let's pivot over to, your specialty, which is nutrition. And because here's what I did a show last week with Dr. Hasenbank, and we talked about the benefit, how, muscle's the missing link and how you should really focus on that. So I think in tough times, I think it's always great to go back to the fundamentals. And I think nutrition is truly one of the fundamental things, not just with athletes, but just life in general, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest determinants of how, healthy you are and how, how you go throughout your life is how you eat and what you put in your body. And so it affects not only your quality of running, but also your long-term health. Nobody wants to be old and sick. We all want to be vibrant, running still, that 85-year-old running at the Boston or whatever marathon it is and kicking it like that. That's what I want for me. And so, prioritizing your nutrition is definitely important, even during all of this. And I would actually argue even more so now, just because of how we know the virus can impact us and the dietary link. So it's definitely important for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna turn over the reins to you at this point. Like, I know you've got some goodies for us. So, and guys, like when you're talking, you gotta understand when I'm finding this with resurrecting the show is we could do 20 shows with Kristin. There's topics all over the place when it comes to nutrition, but we're going to start tonight on kind of her top tips of kind of getting out of quicksand right now, like things that maybe supercharge and they're going to be fundamental things, but things that she thinks that would be a good starting point as we head into what we call training season for a lot of people with running, where you're thinking about like, summer's here, man. In Houston, Texas, and I don't know where you guys are tuning in from, but in this town, it's painful for about 6 months.
At 7 this morning, it was already 96% humidity. So yeah, it's real. Well, I definitely have just kind of a couple of quick things for everyone that I feel are like Coach Michael said, the foundations to kind of get you back into your groove, help you feel better, and that aren't necessarily too detailed. They're more general things that you can do. And the first one really is, define the goal. So a lot of what I have to say bleeds into your fitness and your running. I think with all of us having our races pushed, we need to reevaluate. Where are we? What is the goal of not only your training, but also your nutrition? And that follows. So, if this was prime training season, calories are up, protein, carb, all of those nutrients are going to be up. So it's not, what is the goal then? Is it I'm running to feel good? Is it, I'm going to run at a much lower capacity and volume in my week? And so then the nutrition follows that. And it's very easy, more miles, more calories, and so on and so forth. And that should be how you kind of set the stage for what does nutrition look like for you. I have a lot of clients that I'm working with right now that are using this as an opportunity to kind of get in better shape. So they're lowering, working on getting rid of some body fat so that when they can race, they're ready. They're feeling good. And then I also have clients that are, just kind of like figuring out, well, I'm taking it day by day. As long as I'm getting out the door, like that's a good thing. And so that's okay too. But really define what your goal is. What do you want for this time? And then have your nutrition reflect that. And really the fancy term for that is periodizing your nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay. So having the training and the nutrition match each other.
I mean, sometimes plan B is the best plan.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's okay. And then, kind of the second thing I would say is if you really want to improve your nutrition, and this goes whether it is during training season, off training season, eating more produce. That's something that I see on a daily basis with every single one of my clients.
I saw your shirt the other day.
Yeah. We as Americans, you think about what is the standard American diet, and it's filled with sugar and saturated fats and lots of salt and, processed and refined carbohydrates. And that's really why we see a lot of the chronic diseases that we have. And so the medicine, what I like to call your pharmacy, FAR, not PH, should be at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Spend time in there and pick something that you're okay with trying. I have a rule when I work with clients. I never force them to eat anything they hate. So if you tell me like, I hate tomatoes, fine, let's figure out something else that you do and kind of go from there. But really, that's where we get our antioxidants. That's where we get our vitamins. That's where we get our minerals from. That's what keeps us healthy. And I know, I don't want to have this be too much about the virus, but those minerals and vitamins and things that we're missing, we get a lot from the plant world. And so even if you're not plant-based, that's okay. Still include them in your diet. It's such a good thing to do.
You mentioned you had something in the like micro, and you're talking micronutrients, and then what's the difference between that and macro?
No, sorry, that's a really good point. So we tend to focus way more on the macronutrients, the protein, the carbs, and the fats. Everybody's concerned with how many grams of protein they're getting, and how much carbs is in this, and how many grams of fat. And that is important. It definitely is. Those things are important for our health and energy levels. Whether it's during training season or not, but those micronutrients we tend to forget about. And that is really what, again, is kind of like your health insurance policy. If you,
aren't they, they're truly like the catalyst, right?
Yes.
They're responsible for all this, really just running the organs of the body.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. They kickstart different occurrences inside of you. So, at different levels, if you don't have, vitamin C or vitamin D or zinc or all of these things that we're hearing so much about right now, your body is not going to be able to perform optimally or even be in a state to, keep your immune system high. I think that's something that we tend to forget. Food is information. When we eat, that gives our cells the information to do the stuff that it should do. So if you're eating a diet full of, Oreos, you're getting sugar and calories and not really getting any information. No micronutrients. Just
it does not compute.
Yeah, it does not compute. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So
it's so true, though, man. I'll tell you.
It is, and not to fear monger or anything like that, but we know being obese, overweight, having that, it puts us at more risk that if we end up getting sick, that our body has to fight a lot more, and that's from that inflammation. So even from a second standpoint, that produce section, all your fruits, your veggies, they really help reduce inflammation in your body as well. So eat your greens.
Eat your veggies, man.
Eat your veggies, which then leads me into point number 3 is eat real food. Again, it's kind of it's
okay. So do me a favor, define real food, please, because you know how that is. Like for some people, real food is McDonald's drive-through, right?
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
I don't mean real like in a tangible sense. But,
okay.
If it has an ingredient label, think about like produce again. Yeah. There's no ingredient label. We know it's a banana. There's no artificial red dye number 40 or trans fats or any of those other things that what I will sometimes call edible food-like substances. It doesn't really do anything, and who knows what effect it has internally. So, again, I'm not saying you can never eat Oreos or, your favorite fast food. But if that is what makes up 80% of your diet, it should switch. That should be the 20% 80% should come from whole food sources. So lean proteins, if you like chicken or eggs, if you're plant-based and you're doing more beans and lentils, if you are, any of the produce section, again, fruits, veggies, sweet potatoes, all of those things. Think about this. Potatoes are actually great as a pre-run. I use them a lot of the time. We don't want to do potato chips. That's not so great. So that's really the difference between real food versus something that came out of a package that's a lot more processed.
Yeah. So just not as less processed as you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And
as much as you can.
Absolutely.
Closer to the food chain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then kind of my third tip for you guys is, eating regularly and really being consistent in how you kind of fuel your body. And so what I mean by that is, if you're working from home, if you're one of those people that forgets to eat, yes, there are people like that. I definitely don't have that problem. But if you get busy, what happens is we see blood sugar levels dip. You get hungry, cravings come on, and then you do go to your pantry and get.
And it's vending machine time.
Of Oreos, exactly, or your favorite sugary, snack from the vending machine if you're back at work, and we don't want that. So, kind of stop before that craving hits, and it's managing those blood sugar levels. So, eating regularly throughout the day, and then being consistent. This is so important. And what I mean by consistency is do the same thing day to day, meaning, it's not, I'm going to do everything perfect for 2 days and then it's too hard and go for, a junk food meal. Be consistent. It definitely will have a huge impact. And it's the same with running. Think about, if you run 20 miles only once a week, okay, well, that's not going to help you with your goal, right? If it's to be have more endurance. So it's kind of the same with your nutrition. The more consistent you are in your healthy behaviors, the better result you'll have.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And then I would say kind of the final, tip that I have is drop the all or nothing mindset. And, right now during all of this, this is probably one of the most important. If you're at home and having some issues with snacking too much or whatever the problem is, don't think that just because you messed up, that everything's ruined and it just ruined your diet and all of that kind of stuff. It's absolutely not true. So many of the clients that I've worked with over the years, they have this, it's all this or all that. And that's not the way we operate. We don't operate that way with running or our finances or, our career. So why would we do the same with nutrition? It's okay if you want your favorite, whatever meal that is, and maybe it's not the healthiest thing. Remember, it's doing it 20% of the time, not 80% of the time. So
that whole 80-20 thing works for a lot. I mean, with running, with fitness, with nutrition. And then like what I see, because during the shutdown, I sent an email out to my folks. I'm like, all right, we're doing Zooms now. If you need a kick in the butt, give me a call. And what I got out of that was that came out a lot. It was like, but I can't do this and I can't do that. And I'm not getting my mileage in each week. I'm like, first off, there's nothing to train for right now. So let me take that pressure like way down.
Yeah.
And, we don't know what the next, because with runners, it's always, actually, I preach it when they're done with something. I'm like, all right, what's next? Well, we don't know what next is. Next may be 2021. Heck, I'm just praying we can do the Houston Marathon here locally. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to take that pressure off. And like, I've had a lot of discussions with people that, they're on a maintenance training schedule. I'm like, man, if you just get out the door and pick a number, I'd much rather have you, instead of fall off the wagon and I got to do my 10 miler and then you do nothing during the week. Just pick 2 or 3 days a week and just make those your staples and just get out the door and do it and build some recovery in there. And, you can go places with that over 6, 8, 12 weeks, right?
It's the all or nothing mindset that we see. Absolutely. It is true in nutrition as well as it is in training. And so, these things are, I think we get a little bit, it kind of stresses us out. And so, we don't think about, the overall implications to, our health and our training, but it's one run, it's one meal. It's not going to make or break the bank. It's what you do consistently and repeatedly over time that really has the biggest result. And I know for me, I'm not a great runner. I mean, I'm not bad, but I'm definitely not the fastest person. I just know that when it's time to work, it's the consistency. It is me getting out of this mindset of it has to be perfect. That's not true. You're going to have bad runs. You're going to have bad meals. It's okay. You just keep going. And so,
And the other part of this too, my gosh, guys, if you can weather the storm now, between now and September, you're a rock star. If you can just get it together, keep it together, work, get in, do your home workouts and push-ups still work, build some muscle, get high octane fuel in there like Kristin's talked about tonight. Go back to the fundamental stuff and just drip the miles, and you're not going to have a problem come, September when it cools off maybe 10 degrees.
Be good.
Yeah, right. So I've got all of our tips up here, guys, just to remind you. And then we do have some questions in the feed. So unless you've got something else you want to throw in there, Kristin, we'll go to some questions. And
yeah, sure. Question.
So I'm going to put this one up. Let me go to my banners here and tweak some things here. But there's something I don't know. You and I aren't sports docs, but I know some foods do have healing properties and they help with rebuilding cartilage and things like that. That's what comes to mind with Jonathan Rhodes' question. I'm going to pop his up on the screen there. So that's his question. How should I tweak my diet to help rehab a torn ACL?
So with that, it's really, again, it's a little bit more general, I would say, but think about this. So, our body repairs itself with, again, those micronutrients. That's how we heal or, get better. And then additionally, making sure that you're getting enough protein. Anytime that, we've got an injury, protein is definitely something that can help. I don't know specifically about ACL, but I can tell you, again, in a very general sense, eating those, having enough of those micronutrients and getting the amount that you need on a daily basis will 100% help with that kind of stuff.
And what I'd throw in there, Jonathan, too, that and a heck of a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
If the more time you can stay horizontal, and I think that's this thing that's kind of missing a lot of times when like you want the raw materials in there, right? But then your body has to do all this bodily, repair at night. And the way you do that, you want to go into that deeper REM sleep. And the way you do that is you just try to get a solid 7 or 8 a night if you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what most Americans are lacking anyway, Yeah. So let me pop a question up here. Jenny Demir, actually Jenny coaches for me in flight running, but she's got a question concerning smoothies.
Actually, no, that's a really good question. It's a kind of a common misconception. I love smoothies. So if you happen to get on any
of the smoothie queen.
Yes. Well, and the reason is they're, again, here in Houston, it is just ridiculously hot. And so after you're done with a run, you need nutrition. It's important. That's how we're starting recovery. We're getting our body to adapt to those training adaptations that have happened during your runs. And so what does that? Food. Remember, food is information. So the smoothies are great. They're liquid. They're easy to digest. And frozen fruit is actually, harvested and then processed and flash frozen pretty immediately. And so it actually can be a higher nutrient content than the fresh, which is shipped from who knows where and how long it's been sitting and all of that stuff. So I love that. That's actually what I do as well. I keep the frozen in my freezer and add that to my smoothie.
And sometimes you can't, I've noticed in Kroger or local, like HEB, sometimes the stuff you like's not in season, yet you can get it frozen too,
and
which is kind of nice. Yeah.
It's cheaper too. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay, cool. Any other questions, guys? Post them in the feed, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube here. It looks like we've got some folks in both. Let me go over to comments and see if we got anything else. Any other questions? If not, we'll wrap it up. And if you guys have follow-up questions, by all means, post them in the feed, and then either Kristin or I will get to those and answer those in the feed. You can also email. Actually, I'll just pop that up right now. You can email me at inflightrunning@gmail.com. And then if anything you send my way, that's the whole idea of the show. We want to give you guys answers, okay? And then let me pop up your information, Kristin, again, so they can see that. Let me change the view here. And let me pull this comment off of here. Follow her on Facebook. Let's get over 1,000, man. You're 940? 940 followers. We got to get you over 1,000. I'm trying the Instagram. I'm just not the Instagram guy. And then
Michael and I are the opposite.
If we put our social media likes and dislikes together, we have one hell of a marketing machine, wouldn't we? And then her website's KristinKabay.com. I got that right, correct? Yeah. And you can email her at kristin.kabay@gmail.com. And I've got her number there. So if you guys want to screenshot that. So I'll just tell you right now, it takes a village, guys. There's no way. And I did a show this afternoon with Dr. JD Hasenbank. He's in Nashville, sports medicine guy. And it takes a village. There's no way I would be where I'm at with a coach if I wasn't, with dietitians, massage therapists, sports doctors. As a team, when there's a nutrition issue, I know a lot about nutrition as a trainer, but I throw them over the fence to somebody like Kristin because she's licensed and registered by the state of Texas to do that, okay? Which is a little bit different than just nutritionist. Yeah. A lot different. And, I work with a lot. And so if you're in the Houston area and if you're not in the Houston area, one thing this pandemic has showed us is there's a lot of different ways we can work with people. And I know just like you, a lot of your business, you've pushed to online counseling. So if someone's watching this from India, someone's watching this from over in the UK, you can still work with somebody like Kristin over the internet.
Actually great. I have a little cohort of clients in New York and in Boston and in Boulder. And so the pandemic is not great. That's not what I mean. But the fact that I can connect with people, and I never would have thought that was possible before. And so it's really been fun to do that and get a different perspective on, what their training is like and kind of hear the challenges that they face in terms of, nutrition. So it's been good.
It's just, hey man, you got to roll with the punches, I mean, we didn't ask for this, but you
make the best of it.
Glass is half full. You just got to keep saying glass is half full. We don't know half full. We don't know where this is going, but I'm very hopeful. We opened things up this week, and there's different comfort levels. Some people just don't feel comfortable coming out and running right now, or just doing much of anything. I get it, man. Others are like, they were banging on my door a month ago. When are we going to start running? I'm like, there's this thing called the state of Texas and the Harris County and the city of Houston that's telling me that we can't really do that. So sorry, but, so I want to remind everybody, if you guys are in the Houston area, we call it our prime season, prime time for marathon season really is June through, and ours goes through February. So we're going to kick off our prime season with COVID-19 friendly runs. We've got to change things, but we're doing it in a very safe way. We do hill workouts, we do long runs. It's a 36-week program. You get a training schedule. If you don't have a race to run for, we can put you on some type of maintenance schedule. We always meet you where you're at. Early registration for that is online at inflightrunning.com. You guys can go there and check that out. We've got early fees through the end of May. And then we also have payment plans. So if you want to split up the cost of your membership for that period, you can go with a 3-month or a 6-month payment plan, which helps you kind of spread that cost out because we all pay our bills on a monthly basis. You can register at inflightrunning.com. Okay. So I think that's all we got tonight. I want to thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's definitely fun.
We'll definitely have Kristin back because, like I said, I could stumble out the door and think of something nutrition-wise that I think most runners or just everyday people, like the stuff we shared today, is runner specific. We talked about racing, but if anyone that chimed in on this that's on Facebook that's like, forget that, I'm never going to be a runner, they could still benefit from what you busted out tonight, right? So, yeah. So we'll probably have Kristin back in the future. I want to thank you for I coaxed you into it. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood time now, So guys, have a great week. We're going to be live every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time here with the In-Flight Running Show. And as I wrap it up, great health to you and your families. Stay safe. And always remember, when all else fails, just go for a run. We'll see you next week. Take care. See ya. Take care.